This is not a joke. This is not some sort of shock headline. This is an actual fact. Washington is actually preparing for World War III. The halls of Congress are echoing with those very terms. Patrick Martin via WSWS.org by way of Zero Hedge reports, the U.S. military intelligence complex is engaged in systematic preparations for World War III. As far as the Pentagon is concerned, a military conflict with China and or Russia is inevitable, and this prospect has become the driving force of its tactical and strategic planning. 3 congressional hearings on Tuesday demonstrated this reality. In the morning, as the Senate Armed Services Committee held a lengthy hearing on cyber warfare, in the afternoon, a subcommittee of the House Armed Services Committee discussed the present size and deployment of the U.S. fleet of aircraft carriers, while another subcommittee of the same panel discussed the modernization of U.S. nuclear weapons. None of the hearings discussed the broader implications of the U.S. preparations for war or what a major war between nuclear armed powers would mean for the survival of the human race and even life on our planet as we know it. On the contrary, the hearings were examples of what might be called the routinization of World War III. A U.S. war with China and or Russia was taken as a given, and the testimony of witnesses and questions from senators and representatives, Democrats and Republicans alike, concerned the best methods for prevailing in such a conflict. He continues, the hearings were component parts of an ongoing process. The witnesses referred to their past writings and statements. The senators and representatives referred to previous testimony by other witnesses. In other words, the preparations for World War using cyber weapons, aircraft carriers, bombers, missiles, and the rest of a vast array of weaponry have been underway for a protracted period of time. They are not a response to recent events, whether in the South China Sea, Ukraine, Syria, or anywhere else. Each of the hearings presumed a major U.S. conflict with another great power, sometimes unnamed, sometimes explicitly designated as China or Russia, and within a relatively short time frame, years rather than decades. The danger of terrorism, hyped incessantly for the purpose of stampeding the public opinion, was downplayed and to some extent discounted. At one point in the Senate hearing on cyber warfare, in response to a direct question from Democrat Jeanine Sheehan of New Hampshire, the panel of witnesses all declared that their greatest concern was nation states, not terrorists. One of the witnesses at the hearing was Dr. Peter Singer, listed as a strategist and senior fellow for New America, a Washington think tank. He titled his presentation, get this, The Lessons of World War III. He began his prepared statement with the following description that imagined the conflict, quote, U.S. and Chinese warships battle at sea, firing everything from cannons to cruise missiles to lasers. Stealthy Russian and American fighter jets dogfight in the air with robotic drones flying as their wingmen. Hackers in Shanghai and Silicon Valley duel in digital playgrounds, and fights in outer space decide who wins below on Earth. Are these scenes from a novel or what could actually take place in the real world the day after tomorrow? The answer is both. None of the hearings saw any debate about either the likelihood of a major war or the necessity of winning that war, and no one challenged the assumption that victory in a world war between nuclear-armed powers is a meaningful concept. The discussion was entirely devoted to what technologies, assets, and human resources were required for the U.S. military to prevail. Wow, that was one heck of an article there. So as you can see, 3 subcommittees now debating in the halls of Congress exactly how to win World War III. Strategies and concepts are laid out, visions of what that war could look like. All right, we've been covering this here for weeks and weeks and weeks, since the early summer, when the war games amplified in Europe and in the Pacific, all over the world. Not just that, but also with Jade Helm as well. So this is further confirmation of a very dangerous psychological element that's playing out in the halls of Congress. Not just psychological, but the physical manifestation of the outcomes are now being played out. Because it's a foregone conclusion that war is on the horizon. What does this mean for us as a race, as a people on this planet? Well, we can only hope that mushroom clouds do not appear overhead. Leave your comments on this one below. And remember, share this video with your friends so that they know exactly what's happening on the world stage, because they're not going to get this from the mainstream media. They will get it from the next news network. I'm Gary Franchi.